So I want to show you. So we talked to you about the COVID relief bill, and they kept touting that it's going to cut child poverty in half. And where does that come from? So this person, Leela Charles Lee, she caught this. So this is from the Center on Poverty and the Social Policy at where? At Columbia University. Now, do you want to see how the establishment is here to manufacture consent for the oligarchy? This is Columbia University, part of the establishment, manufacturing consent. This is a press release. This is a President Biden's economic relief proposal has the potential to cut child poverty in half. That's what it says. It came right from Columbia University Center on Poverty and Social Policy. And this is a fact sheet. And it provides a projection of the poverty reduction effect of the set of policy elements within the proposal for economic relief. So this is supposed to be like a scientific thing, right? But what it really is, and I'm going to show you that right now, is complete propaganda for the establishment. This is manufacturing consent and propagandizing Americans, and they're doing it blatantly. And what do you mean, Jimmy? Are you quibbling with their figures? No. Much worse than that. So if you see at the bottom, so the date on this is February 25th. So this is when they first released their paper, right? Is this a brief or is this a press release? This is more of a press release for the Biden administration, and I'll show you why. Because at the bottom it says, we find that a relief package containing enhanced supplemental nutrition assistance programs, SNAP, right, which we already have, SNAP, unemployment benefits, family and child care tax credits, as well as direct cash payments, and an increased minimum wage could cut child poverty by more than half in 2021. Do you see where it's so here? You can't see it, but it says and an increased minimum wage. And so all these things that are in the bill, and the last thing it says, and an increased minimum wage could cut child poverty by more than half. So then Joe Biden and the Democrats took the minimum wage increase out of the bill. Did they change their assessment? No. Wait, what do you mean? Well, here's their release from March 11th. The American Rescue Plan could cut child poverty in half by more than half. And let's go down to that final paragraph. They scrubbed it. Here's what it says now. We find that a relief package containing enhanced supplemental nutrition assistance, SNAP, unemployment benefits, family and child care tax credits, as well as direct cash payments could cut child poverty. They just took it out. So before it was the minimum wage increase that was going to lead to cutting child poverty. Now they got rid of it, and they still say that. If this is the state of academia in America, no wonder Cornell West couldn't get tenure. Because you got to have a little bit of integrity, I guess. If you have integrity, you're not going to get tenure at Columbia University. That's what this looks like. This is real. I'm not making this up. So it turns out, according to Columbia University, whatever the government passes cuts child poverty.
Huh.
No matter what. How about it's going to be with the increase in the minimum wage? Yeah. That's going to help cut? Yeah. But they got rid of that. That's still going to do it. Still do it.
Well, because they highlighted as well as direct cash payments could cut child poverty, as well as those one-time cash payments. You know how $1,400 to a family of four could totally cut their dire straits that they're living in?
Chris Randolph says, suddenly in the course of 12 hours, having done no research at all, childhood poverty could be cut in half without raising wages. Why should anyone ever believe anything the Center on Poverty and Social Policy ever says again? They shouldn't. By the way, this report is brought to you by Professor Shrug and whatever it cuts it in half, cuts it in a third, cuts it in, I don't know, whatever. If I didn't know better, I would say they're making shit up about cutting child poverty in half. If I didn't know better. Can you major in turd polishing now at Columbia University? Because that's what that looks like. So what they're saying is, with the increase in minimum wage, it would cut child poverty in half. Without the minimum wage, still does it. So Columbia University, 2 + 2 = 4, but if the government says 2 + 2 = 2 + 1 = 4, well, then it does. This is straight up garbage propaganda from a university, and they say Trump's the liar. Do you see what I'm talking about? Do you see how all these people are unbelievably dishonest? This is your establishment screwing you. This is Columbia University, the home of the CIA. That's who this is. They have a journalism school at Columbia. They have a journalism school at Columbia. And let me just tell you, there's 2 types of people who go to journalism school: shitty journalists and suckers. Because you don't need to go to journalism school. So then they came back and they clarified. You ready for this? Hello, to clarify the March 11th update to the brief. It's called a brief. It's a press release. It's not a brief. The 311 update to the brief reflects the final elements of the bill. Because the minimum wage was no longer a component of the bill, we updated the analysis to remove that component, along with other changes like those to unemployment insurance provisions. Yeah, well, Steph, as Chris Ron points out, taking out the part about raised minimum wage would fundamentally change the conclusion of how much it would affect poverty. Correct? Yes, that's correct. How do you cut child poverty by more than half with a one-time $1,400 payment and not guaranteeing at least a $15 minimum wage? Columbia never came back to answer that question. They just did this bullshit as if we're too dumb to understand that they're gaslighting. Bullshitting. We're too dumb to understand that. We're not too dumb, but maybe everybody at the Columbia thinks we are. Well, of course they're dumb. All of them haven't gone to Columbia like we have. You literally stated, this is responding to Columbia University's stupid tweets. Columbia, you literally stated that all those proposals plus an increased minimum wage could cut child poverty by more than half. Then you retracted the demand for a minimum wage increase after it was cut from the bill. Looks like you revised your findings to please politicians. That's exactly what happened. Good catch, Randy Eicher. Oramek says, this is literally from Orwell's 1984. Winston Smith works in the records department of the Ministry of Truth, where his job is to rewrite historical documents so they match the constant changing current party line. That's right out of George Orwell. And what they just did here is right out of George Orwell. That's it. They went back and they reworded the text so it now fit the party line. The party line is this bill will cut child poverty in half. It used to be with the minimum wage. We took the minimum wage out. The party line is it will still do it. Well, that's what Columbia says. But first they tried to trick you, and then everybody caught them. Isn't it funny when people at places like Harvard, Yale, Columbia, they think they're smarter than you? They're not. They just went to those fucking schools. Half of those people, 3/4 of those people there on legacy anyway. George Bush went to Yale, I'm pretty sure. What does that prove? It proves he had powerful access.
I read buying more fighter jets will cut child poverty in half.
Well, Columbia said so. If Columbia says so, that's the case. That kind of so it's coming from everywhere. It's not just coming from MSNBC or the New York Times or the Washington Post, Jeff Bezos. It's not just coming from The Intercept. It's not just coming from the Young Turks. It's coming from places like Columbia University. Straight up garbage, lying to Americans to keep them from revolting. That's what this is. You're being abandoned You have been abandoned by your government. They had an entire year to figure out how to help you, and this is what they came up with. Again, other countries are not handling it this way. This is not being handled like this in any other country. Every other country gives its people health care off the bat. And I'm going to do another story today that shows you that most of the deaths from COVID are people without health insurance. So no other country on earth and the Western world is handling COVID like the United States rapacious oligarchy is handling it. No other country is screwing their own people like this. And then again, why are they doing this? Why don't they want you to have a UBI? Why don't they want you to have a minimum wage? Why don't they want you to have a $2,000 check? Because just like in 2009, they want you to go bankrupt so you lose your house, and then they give your house to their creditors, which is their donors on Wall Street. You notice Wall Street's getting $1 trillion a day if they want it, right? If they wanted it, we're going to give them $1 trillion a day. That's what they said. What about the workers? We got to means test this. We got to wait a year before we could give it to them, and we got to push it back, and then we got to cut it down to 14, and then only 80% of the people can even get that. Then why are they doing that? Because they want to take your house, and if you're a renter, they want you to default on your rent, so they could take so then your landlord will default on his mortgage, and they can take the. That is what's going on. That is what is going on. They did it before, and they're doing it again. That's what happened. And I should have Dylan Radigan on.
He wasn't available.
Okay, but that Dylan Radigan wrote a goddamn book about it. That's what they did with the last financial meltdown. They made it so you would lose your house on purpose. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.